New tonight, more evidence from the South Carolina shooter himself that raging racial hatred was indeed the driving force behind the atrocity at the AME Church in Charleston. Thanks for joining us. I'm Derek McGinty.
And I'm Deborah Alfarone. We're going to get to the latest on that Charleston church shooting in a moment. But first, we are under a yellow alert for tomorrow as what's left of Bill makes its way to the metro area.
Chief Meteorologist Topper Schutt's tracking some possibly severe storms, perhaps some flash flooding, Top?
Really do. We have a flash flood watch in effect for most of the metro area, 8 p.m. Saturday until 8 a.m. on Sunday. It does not include our friends in southern Maryland, Charles County, Calvert County, St. Mary's County, and the Northern Neck. You're still going to see some big boomers tomorrow, so don't let your guard down. But it will say this, the heaviest access to rain will be north of town toward Frederick and up toward Hagerstown. Now, here's a look at the futurecast. We'll advance it all the way to 4 o'clock in the afternoon. Scattered showers and thunderstorms already popping. 88 downtown. We get into the 6 o'clock hour, showers and storms building out to the west, Winchester, and then west of I-81. And then by 8 o'clock, we had big storms through Leesburg and big storms along I-81 from Winchester all the way down to Luray. And then you see this line of, really, this is Bill rolling through at 10 o'clock. We'll roll right through the metro area with temps in the 70s to near 80. The good news is it gets out of here by 1 o'clock in the morning. The bad news, we're looking at 1 to 3 inches of rain. We will come back. We'll talk about who's going to get the heaviest rainfall. We'll give you some numbers on that and let you know what Dad is in store for on Sunday.
Well, now, let's get to the latest on the Charleston church shooting. Police sources say the suspect, Dylan Roof, expressed strong anti-black views while talking to investigators and was unrepentant about allegedly shooting the 9 people to death during a Bible study. Though he admitted he almost reconsidered his plan because they were so nice to him.
Are you employed?
No, sir. Appearing calm, almost stone-faced, 21-year-old Dylan Roof was in court today via closed circuit, answering a judge's questions and then listening as the judge allowed family members of the victims to speak. But instead of condemnation, there was unbearable grief and forgiveness.
You took something very precious away from me.
You Wednesday night in our Bible study with open arms. You have killed some of the most beautifulest people that I know. Tawanza Sanders is my son, but Tawanza was my hero. Tawanza was my hero. But as we said in Bible study, we enjoyed you, but may God have mercy on you.
And in fact, our media partners at the Washington Post are reporting that Roof briefly considered backing out of his horrific plan because the people in that church had been so nice to him. But in court today, no signs of remorse from Roof, who bought that .45 caliber handgun with birthday money from his dad. He also told investigators he planned that attack for some time and picked the location because it was an historic African-American church. According to a police affidavit, Roof shot the victims multiple times and made a racially inflammatory remark before leaving the scene of the crime. Today, though, that scene had become a growing memorial as heartbroken residents came out to pay their respects. Marissa Mangus and her mom came to pray, but the emotion was just too much.
It's hard, and it's hard to explain to your children.
Hard to explain to everybody. The judge set a $1 million bond for the weapons charge that Roof faces. The judge did not have the authority to grant bond for the 9 murder charges, so he's going to remain behind bars in solitary confinement and under suicide watch. Well, as we learn more about Roof, his motive, and what happened inside that church, there are growing demands to label this as something more than a hate crime.
Our Mola Lange spoke with people who gathered for a vigil at the African American Civil War Museum in Northwest tonight. So what are they calling this, Mola?
Well, Deborah, the FBI, who is investigating the Charleston shooting, says that they are going to investigate, and they are considering all angles at this point, everything from a hate crime to domestic terrorism. But the folks who gathered out here for tonight's vigil, they're not waiting on an investigation. They say there is no question what happened Wednesday was terrorism.
It might be a hate crime, I mean, that for sure, but it also meets the definition of terrorism, so why are we not calling it that?
That is exactly what scores of people were calling the Charleston massacre Friday night at a vigil in Northwest D.C. for the 9 victims.
It was a targeted killing of a population designed to put fear in them. It's no coincidence that they chose a church that had been a pillar of the black community for centuries.
Today, Terrorism is most commonly associated with violence committed by Islamic radicals, but domestic terrorism has a long history with violence against African Americans in the South, primarily by the Ku Klux Klan. As University of Connecticut history professor Jelani Cobb tweeted, the first anti-terrorism law in U.S. history was the Klan Control Act, so really, this has been the definition of terrorism. Q. Gaskins says calling the Charleston shooting terrorism means it won't be ignored.
Acknowledgement for everything that happened.
The FBI says an act should meet the following 3 criteria to be considered domestic terrorism. It's dangerous to human life and violates the law. It uses intimidation to coerce civilian populations, to influence government policy by mass destruction, assassination, or kidnapping. And finally, the act should occur primarily on U.S. soil.
So it meets the definition, but yet we're not hearing that. Go ahead and call it what it is. Who are we saving? What are we doing? We need that honesty. So once we get that, we can move forward.
But whatever you call it.
I mean, how do you make sense out of that? You just can't. And our hearts are broken.
According to the Terrorism Research Center at the University of Arkansas, the FBI has exclusive jurisdiction to investigate acts of terror in the United States. So basically, if the FBI labels it as terrorism, it's terrorism. If they don't, it is not. Live in Northwest, I'm Mola Lengi for WUSA 9.
Thank you, Mola. Well, there's no timetable on the FBI investigation, though, into whether this was a hate crime, domestic terrorism, or neither. Well, today the flags of the United States and South Carolina flew at half-staff over the state Capitol building. But the Confederate flag remained at full height, an act that has generated a lot of criticism. In South Carolina, it's against state law to lower that particular Confederate flag. South Carolina was the last state to fly the Confederate flag from its Capitol dome until a compromise back in 2000 moved it to a 30-foot flagpole elsewhere on State House grounds. In Charleston tonight, thousands of people attended a vigil to remember the 9 victims. A reverend from another church told the victims' relatives to contact him if they need anything, including a church for funeral services, since theirs may be off limits during the investigation.
Well, here in Washington, D.C., a church that held a vigil for those in Charleston later had to deal with a bomb threat. The Metropolitan AME Church in Northwest held that vigil this afternoon to honor the victims of the Charleston shooting and in support of the people of Charleston. But a few hours after the vigil was done, somebody called the church and said they left a bomb after showing up at the vigil. Police closed the church down and all the areas around it while they conducted a search, but they found no bomb.
We're not going to allow this sort of incident to scare us away from doing the important work of the church to knit together a beloved community. So we will take extra security precautions, but the church will continue to be open for worship.
And the church sent out this tweet: "We are not going to let a bomb threat steal our joy or create fear in us."
Switching gears now, in Prince George's County tonight, police are looking for a man wanted for sexually assaulting a 6-year-old girl while she was at a store with her parents. Now, this incident happened in Riverdale, and now we're learning something very similar happened last week in Greenbelt. And that's where we find Ellison Barber. So what are police saying about these 2 incidents, Ellison?
Right, well, one of those assaults happened inside this mall, the Beltway Plaza, at a retail store. Another one, like you said, happened just down the road in Riverdale. A lot of similarities in both of these, and police tell me they believe it's the same man. Last night at 7:20, police say a mother took her daughter to the bathroom in a store at this mall. The mom was using the restroom. Her daughter was waiting right outside of the stall.
The suspect entered the restroom, assaulted the daughter before she had a chance to yell out, and quickly exited the store.
The assault happened in a matter of seconds. Greenbelt police say this man went into the mall with the intention of exploiting a child.
We're just really asking the public if they know anything about this to contact the police department.
One incident like this is enough to rattle parents.
That made me very nervous because I come here all the time with my child.
And it doesn't seem to be the only one. Something similar happened last week at a store in Riverdale, 3 miles away from this mall.
The method in which it occurred seems very similar.
Police in Prince George's say this man went into a store on the 5700 block of Riverdale Road and sexually assaulted a 6-year-old girl. Like the assault in Greenbelt, it was quick. Detectives say the man started to touch the little girl, but she pushed him away. Police in Greenbelt say they've already spoken with the detectives working on that case.
We think there's a good possibility it could be the same suspect.
In the surveillance images from the Greenbelt assault, the suspect is wearing a dark hat, khaki pants, and a t-shirt with a large Nike swoosh. The images of the Riverdale suspect are a bit clearer. Police believe the man in both of these photos has long hair in the back.
It's an outrageous crime. We want to catch this person badly. This is somebody who needs to be off the street.
Parents we spoke to certainly agree.
It's terrible. You can't just do that to kids and get away with it.
Police are hoping that people will recognize this man and call them, but they're also warning parents in the area to be careful. They say if you see someone who looks like this man loitering in a store, especially around the bathroom area, to make sure you report it to someone right away. Reporting live in Greenbelt, I'm Ellison Barber, WUSA 9.
Thank you, Ellison. And Greenbelt police described that suspect as a Latino male between 25 and 30 years old, about 5'8" with a medium build. If you do recognize him, give police a call. A follow-up tonight on a deadly date rape in Montgomery County. Today we learned that the 18-year-old victim's mother was with her in the ambulance when she died. Police say 16-year-old Marquise Turner raped the teen outside the Circuit Court building after the two saw a movie together. Turner is being charged as an adult with that rape. And what caused that young woman to die is still a mystery.
Tonight, new information on the shooting in Indian Head, Maryland. Officers say neighbors reported a man shot himself inside his home on Dovetree Court this afternoon. Neighbors rushed in. They found the man dead and his 3-month-old son not breathing. Well, they began CPR and paramedics rushed the child to the hospital in critical condition. Investigators say no obvious signs of trauma to that baby. The sheriff's office is still investigating. And the Montgomery County Fire Department says 6 people have been injured in a 2-car head-on collision. This crash took place about 9 o'clock tonight at New Hampshire Avenue and Randolph Road in Silver Spring. At least 2 of those victims suffered serious injuries, and that crash is still under investigation.
Well, new developments in the Tucker's Restaurant and Liquor Store fire in Upper Marlboro. Prince George's County fire investigators have declared the fire suspicious. They're asking the public for information that could shed light on what happened. The restaurant caught fire early Wednesday morning. No one was hurt, but the building was badly damaged.
Well, Metro Transit Police have a warning for riders tonight. If you're looking at your Facebook or perhaps checking your email on your phone, thieves could be checking you out, plotting to snatch your mobile phone. They noticed a trend this month on the eastern half of the orange, silver, and blue lines, and the crooks are especially interested if you happen to have an iPhone 6. Here's some video showing the thieves in action. You can see one pair waits outside the train, catches the door, pries it open, so the pair who just stole the phone inside can make a clean getaway. And they all run off.
Wow. Well, he once cooked for the world's most powerful men. Now there's a massive search underway to find a missing former White House chef.
And the Nationals are now without their biggest star, but you won't hear them harping over it. We'll have an update on Bryce Harper and how the Nats did tonight coming up.
The prosecution has rested in the Colorado theater shooting trial of James Holmes. Holmes is charged with killing 12 people and injuring 70 others in the attack back in 2012. The prosecution's final witness was Ashley Moser. The shooting took the life of her 6-year-old daughter Veronica and her unborn child. And Moser was left as a quadriplegic with a bullet that is still lodged in her spine. She testified about being shot in the chest and falling onto Veronica.
Could you feel her moving?
No.
Could you feel her breathing?
No.
Could you get off of her?
No.
Powerful. Prosecutors relied on emotional testimony from victims, graphic photos, and a state-appointed psychiatrist's interview with Holmes in an attempt to undermine his claim that he was mentally ill and didn't know right from wrong. The defense begins to present its case next week, hoping to convince the jury that Holmes should be found not guilty by reason of insanity.
Well, new tonight at 11, search crews are looking for a former White House chef possibly lost in a rugged New Mexico mountain range. New Mexico State cops say they've got no leads yet on what happened to 61-year-old Walter Scheib. All they know is he'd recently moved to the state and went for a hike last Saturday, and as of now, that car, that's his, and that's all they've got. Scheib was the White House chef for 11 years under Presidents Bill Clinton and George W. Bush. Well, New York State police say they are, quote, geared up for the long haul in the search for those 2 escaped killers. The U.S. Marshals Service has added Richard Matt and David Sweat to its list of the 15 most wanted fugitives, and it's now offering a $50,000 reward for any information leading to their capture. Those inmates made their escape June 6th. That's 2 weeks ago.
Wow. The Federal Emergency Management Agency has said no to Maryland's request for disaster aid to cover costs tied to unrest in Baltimore following the death of Freddie Gray. The governor's office is considering an appeal, likewise the mayor's office in Baltimore. Governor Larry Hogan says when you add up everything from the damage done by rioters to the need for extra police to the cancellation of an Orioles baseball game, it amounts to an economic impact of more than, get this, $30 million.
An investigation is underway trying to figure out why a cruise ship crashed into a wall in New York. The ship was on its way from Montreal to Toronto last night when it hit a wall while entering a lock with about 270 people on board. However, it was not until this afternoon that the last of those passengers got off the boat. A crane holding a basket had to lift them to safety. Crews treated 22 people for some minor injuries.
Well, people who live near a pond in Edgewood, Maryland are now saying, "Later, Gator." This after the neighbors called police about seeing a 3-foot alligator just hanging around. Officers caught the gator and took it to the Catoctin Zoo, and then they arrested a man by the name of Charles Dorsey and charged him with possession of a dangerous animal.
Always watching, always tracking. WUSA 9's First Alert Weather, DC's most accurate.
You know, I had a hint that the 3-degree guarantee was okay earlier.
You did?
What
was your tip-off?
Well, it was 88 degrees, and you said 91, so
right.
I'm like, it's 88 now.
Okay, but it didn't get to be 88 until late. We were literally a little concerned, quite frankly. Yeah, we went for a high of 91. It was 89, so we did it. We are now, let's see, 14 and 5 for the month of June, and Mr. Bernstein will inherit 90 for tomorrow. Tuesday, isolated storm, 96. Hot on Wednesday, it's 97 on Thursday, isolated storm, and 94 on Friday. Still hot. Diane.
Say what you want about Alex Rodriguez, but he's climbing up the record books. We'll let you know what he did special tonight, and we'll check in on the Bryce Harper-less Nationals. Hosting the Pirates, you'd think their pitcher, A.J. Burnett, might catch our attention, but nope. More on Ross the Boss. That is coming up.
Now, WUSA 9 Game On Sports, brought to you by Xfinity.
The Nationals began a three-game set against the Pirates tonight without Bryce Harper. The all-star outfielder is still day-to-day after hurting himself in last night's loss to the Rays. The team calls Harper's injury a mild strain to his left hamstring. It happened during the 6th inning on a throw home. After tonight's game, skipper Matt Williams said Harper played a little catch before the game, gotten a little workout, and is still day-to-day.
He did okay. He did some leg work today. No, didn't hit, but did some leg work and got some blood flow in there. So Doc looked at him, poked around, and we'll see how he is tomorrow.
Harper's team played on without him and the rest of the injured crew, hoping to bounce back from 4 straight home losses. Meanwhile, Pittsburgh was looking to improve on their 8-game win streak. The Nats handed the ball to Joe Ross to get the job done against A.J. Burnett and the Pirates. Only Ross's 3rd major league start. Apparently no problem, as the 22-year-old struck out a career-high 11 batters, allowed just 1 run on 6 hits and 7 1/3 innings. Offensively, Williams said the team had to step up, and they did. There you go, 3rd inning. Nats up 2-1, make that 3-1 thanks to Wilson Ramos' single. He was 2 for 4 today with 2 RBI. Washington wins 4-1, their 5th straight over Pittsburgh. If you want more Nats on 9, we have you covered all weekend long. Tomorrow's series against the Pirates continues right here. Coverage starts at 4 in the afternoon. You know him as A-Rod, a 3-time MVP and disgraced performance-enhancing drug user. Now he's a member of the 3,000 hit club. Alex Rodriguez did it in grand style, smacking a home run. The only other players to hit a homer for their 3,000th were Derek Jeter and Wade Boggs. Interesting tidbit, tonight's home plate umpire was also there for A-Rod's first ever hit as a Mariner in 1994. In the College World Series, the Cavaliers took the Gators tonight, down 1 in a 3-game series and with an eye to a Game 3 tomorrow, but they had to win tonight first. Brian O'Connor and the Cavaliers team hard at work in Omaha, 7th inning, down 9-1. Cavs' Kenny Towns rips a double to center, scoring Ernie Clement and Daniel Pinero. As part of a 3-run 4th, they were down 10-5 in the 9th. Towns at the plate again, but no magic. He flies out. Gators win. Winner of tomorrow's game advances to the championship series. A special summer edition of Game On Varsity. We're taking a look back at professional athletes before they went pro. On this Father's Day weekend, Hillard Bowman's son is the focus of our Friday flashback. That's Navarro Bowman, a linebacker for the San Francisco 49ers. The former All-Pro looks to make an impact this year after sitting out last season with a knee injury. Before going pro, though, he was making hard hits in Prince George's County for Suitland High School. And there you have it.
I love the way you wanted to create a drama in that college series, even though they're down 9-1.
9-1.
I know.
They're coming back.
We're here to show you Virginia Cavaliers highlights. There just weren't many.
Yeah, all right.
That's the thing.
And on that note, we got to go. We'll be back in a minute, though. First day of summer is almost here, right?
It is on Sunday. In fact, the 7-day, I didn't have room for it to put it on Sunday.
So many things on Sunday.
Yeah, that is the summer solstice. 90 tomorrow, 94 on Sunday. Again, flash flood watch tomorrow and a yellow alert as well. Heaviest rain, 7 p to about midnight.
Oh, well, stay inside.
That's our broadcast. We'll see you.
Good night.